Hello, my name is Bruce Becker. One of the most challenging elements of learning drum set is the development of good, flexible, technical skills. I've been teaching now for close to 30 years, and in that time I've developed some key insights in helping my students overcome technical barriers. My approach is based on the firm understanding of the balance and motion of the stick, working in harmony with our anatomy. The body has a natural way of moving, and getting inside this movement, we can blend these principles to guide us to a more fluent, effective way of playing. Another key issue is the idea of organizing your thoughts about motion. With a step-by-step process, you can affect feel, and that feel is ultimately important to move beyond the thought and get to the place of doing with a sense of fluidity. The one-on-one process is most effective as it allows for continued growth. In this presentation, I'd like to offer some concepts in establishing a better mind-body relationship to assist you in developing a clear continuity of technique. Whether you play French grip, German grip, or traditional grip, they're all united by a common theme of balance and motion. It's our quest to tap into this to unlock our emotions, feel, and ultimately our imagination. I hope you enjoy. Let's take a look at the anatomy and how we use that related to French grip technique, so we can get everything set up systematically so everything works in harmony with our anatomy and with the balance of the stick. When I set this up, what I want to do is I want to set my elbows out so that they are responsive to what we do in French grip technique. If you're not familiar with French grip technique, thumb rests on top of the stick. The stick should sit in the last joint of your index finger. Your back three fingers should be slightly curled, not cradling the stick. That would negate any sense of balance over the index finger, and definitely not straight. We don't want to create any excess tension. So we want to have them slightly curled and ready to receive the stick. So if you look at my elbows, they are both out. I have basically an isosceles triangle from elbow to side to armpit. And again, in French grip, we're mostly dealing with the forearm rotation, this forward motion from our forearm to allow the stick to bounce. We want that to be subservient to the bounce of the stick. So, back to the setup, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my thumb over the index finger. I don't want to allow my thumb to slip backwards and engage with the middle finger. That would negate the true sense of grip and pivot point that we're trying to develop in French grip. So, the first exercise that I would do for my students, or one of the early exercises to get the hand to be acclimated to this position, is to take the stick and squeeze into the back three fingers and then release. When I squeeze, I'm basically putting pressure from my thumb, bringing the body of the stick to my back three fingers, and my pinky finger, ring finger, and middle finger kind of join as a team and resist and kind of build up some tension back there, and then release and bounce out. We want to get comfortable feeling the tension and the release. And as you do that, you can start to acclimate to how do the fingers feel when you squeeze the body of the stick to the fingers. You know, how do they feel? How does that tension feel? And how does it feel when you release the stick? Okay. Second from that, we want to learn how to get the pivot and the movement of the stick. So basically, from the elbow, throwing my forearm forward and allowing the stick through the pivot point to arc and feel the swing of the stick. Okay, I'm not doing anything. The stick's doing all the follow-through based on the momentum that I create from the toss of the stick in the air and get it to bounce out. Now, a lot of times early on, the stick will sometimes get a little bit out of its position. Just realign that stick so that you get a chance to always work in the best of settings. Get everything to sit in a perfect situation so that you really enhance the feel of how that works. If you operate from some shortcuts, you may run into some barriers later on. And as a teacher, I've encountered that many times where I've tried to make shortcuts and later on I have to do a lot of cleanup work, and it's not fun. It makes for excess work, and we don't need to do that. So again, just feel the stick swing and follow through. And if I just take my stick and look at the extension of the stick from my forearm and I allow the weight of the stick to pitch forward, there's my release. And if I bring the stick back, my follow through would be about the same distance as the release. So watch that follow through of the stick and let it bounce out. The third step, I would take the first two steps, and basically I'd start with the second step because I'm going to start with the follow through, and then I'm going to squeeze the stick on the impact to get the stick to pop off the pad. What we're trying to generate is a tone out of the instrument. And in any kind of percussion, you don't really hit into the drum or hit into the cymbal. You'll choke the sound. We're trying to maximize the resonation. So through striking off the pad and getting comfortable with that, we're building up a good tonal technique to get tone out of the instrument. And that's really important. So on this exercise, I'm doing the follow through, strike, and then I can release the stick again, let it relax to the pad or release to the pad. I can come up, follow through again, and strike. Now, I'm going to fast forward and take a little bit of this release, follow through, and strike, and I'm going to build up a very early exercise that I would want to do to have some movement from right hand to left hand. So I'm going to take an alternating sticking, right, left, left. We could call it triplets, or we could call it 6/8 time, either one. I'll count it in 6 so that we can kind of feel all 6 beats. And I'll count in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, down, up, tap, down, up, tap, down, up, tap, down, up, tap, down. Now you can see in that exercise that I'm using my follow through to my strike. The thing that gets a little fishy for some students is now working right hand against left hand and making sure that every upstroke to downstroke is clean and clear in its fluidity, that we don't have any, funny movements or things going a little bit askew. We want to kind of clearly always follow through and get everything to sit nicely. And that's not easy at first. It takes a little time to sort of just adjust to. From that point on, I would take the same movement, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add doubles to that. When I add doubles, what I'm trying to do is get my double to just be a really relaxed bounce. If we're tense and trying to snap the stick, you're going to get a very tense sounding double. We want to kind of keep it open and build fluidity. And one of my biggest statements to my students is always practice slow and open. The more slow you practice, slowly, you get a chance to really feel the movement and the rotation or the orbit that you're trying to create. And as you do that, you can really feel the space. And space between the note is really important. I'll talk about that in a moment with French grip and show you a couple things where you can really sort of lock into the space and feel what's going on. But back to this exercise, which we would still, again, feel down, up, tap, down. And watch my follow through on the up. And from here, I'm going to go into a series of double strokes. Same movement, so here's my count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And feel the easiness of the double stroke roll. And watch the fluidity of the upstroke. Let me fast forward. When I play this upstroke and let the stick follow through as I come up to my double, that's the same move that I would use in the jazz ride cymbal exercise. So now you feel my upstroke on the double, and I'm coming down. On this exercise, however, I'm not striking the pad and stopping the stick. I want to create perpetual motion. So I want the stick to bounce over the index finger, always being engaged with the back 3 fingers for a little bit of density of the stick, because your bone density does participate in your tonal quality, how you produce a tone. And just feel the follow through and the drop. So again, that was a little fast forward, and I'm going to expose some jazz ride cymbal exercises on the drum set to kind of show how you can really lock into the consistency, the continuity of the ride cymbal, and build up some movement with your left hand where the left hand or the right foot or left foot don't disrupt that continuity of the right hand. It's really important when you build up that kind of placement with your right hand and movement, then all the other stuff's going to fall into place and you're really starting to build up really true separation. Not just separation from a standpoint of hammering and stiffly putting things out, but with a flow, each limb having its own orbit and own movement.